Nina's eyes popped out of what was left of her back. Why, oh why, had she opened that tomb? The sand turned red. This was because she was bleeding on it. Blood. Ruby red blood. Her blood. Blood. And piss and shit. This was the worst day of her life.
Greetings, you gruesome bastards, and welcome to your place in hell. I mean my so-called show. There are monsters that lurk in the darkness. Some howl at the moon before licking their balls.
It's to take away the taste of the food.
Some prey on the weak to feast on their blood before sparkling. But we must not forget the true horrors that haunt our waking day. Talentless, delusional egomaniacs with no self-awareness. Which brings me to my second dose of nightmarish torture to all 6 of your senses, or 5 if you're an inferior being. And that zombie, ladies and hairy gentlemen, is none other than Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. Making its broadcast debut in January 2004, Garth Marenghi's Darkplace is a mockumentary about a hack horror writer named Garth Marenghi, played by Matthew Holness, who after 20 years finally decides to bring his failed show to the public. And that show is, apparently, Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. And while he claims it was never aired because the show was too scary to be aired, except for a brief period in Peru, there's plenty of evidence to suggest otherwise. And after his introduction,
sit back, dim the lights or switch them off if you don't have dimmers.
We cut to his show, which begins in a hospital named Darkplace,
where aspiring Dr. Liz Ash, played by Madeline Wool, played in real life by Alice Lowe, applies for a job successfully.
Hi, I've come to apply for the doctor's job. I can assure you my credentials are top-notch. I've just graduated from Harvard College Yale. I aced every semester and I got an A.
Well, that sounds excellent. Our last doctor only just recently died in horrific circumstances. Can you start immediately?
Sure. Do I have time to go to the toilet?
Not really.
There she meets the dashing, but nowhere near as dashing as Rick Douglas, Dr. Lucian Sanchez, played by thespian Todd Rivers, who in real life is played by the always awesome Mass Berry.
I'm Dr. Sanchez. You're a woman.
The best buddy who is in no way as good-looking or tough as lead character Rick, who he fought alongside with in Vietnam. She also meets hard-nosed hospital admin bureaucrat Thornton Reed, who is also a Korean vet with one testicle, played by Garth Marenghi's unhinged publicist and producer Dean Lerner, played in real life by Richard Ayoade. And of course, last but not least, she meets the man himself, the hero, the maverick, that's more dashing than Dr. Sanchez apparently, and his name is Rick Douglas.
My name is Dr. Rick Douglas, MD. I got the call too early to grab a shower, so I had to make do with a quick rinse around the key areas.
Played by the Dream Weaver, Garth Marenghi.
One of the few people you'll meet who've written more books than they've read.
He's also revealed to be a former warlock, and when one of his old warlock buddies, who's also a patient, explodes.
Larry?
Are you all right?
And Gareth has to end his suffering. Twice.
Well, that'll stop him.
He discovers the incident has opened a portal to hell, and from here on in, it's freaky goings on, with eyes of sex offenders impregnating patients.
Look at that poor man. Not only has he just been screwed by a giant eye, he's now giving birth.
Inanimate objects attacking people. Terrible ADR.
Jesus, been in the gym. Silent cabinet.
Angry Scots. Tacked on songs.
I'm a one-track lover, down a two-way lane.
Bad acting. Doctors packing guns for no reason. And the lack of self-awareness amongst a cast of maniacs.
A lot of people write to move, a lot of people write to protest. I write to chill.
At the end of the day, this is not just a horror show. This is a show about great original writing.
Garth Marenghi's Darkplace very sadly didn't get the ratings it deserved at the time due to a lack of marketing and the fact it was dumped into a late night slot.
Phrasing.
But fortunately it gained a cult following over the past few years, and thank God it did, as this is a comedy gem that deserves all the praise. It's sharp, the performances are incompetently well executed. Richard Ayoade is on unhinged form as Gareth's publicist, producer and apparent friend Dean Lerner, who's also had the misfortune of being cast as hospital admin Thornton Reed.
I warned Garth. I said, I'm not an actor. And he said, I'll always remember this, that he didn't want an act. He wanted the truth. So here is Dean Lerner playing Thornton Reed, not putting on an act, but putting on the truth.
Listen up, ladies, we've got a situation. A little lass has just cracked her nut, and if she croaks, my ass is grass.
He's also a delusional maniac who thinks he has more class than everybody, and he has no problem using hazardous materials that put his crew at risk, including techies.
I don't like to see anyone die, but if someone has to die, it might as well be a techie. Because another one comes along, it's the same belt, it's the same hammer in the tool belt, you can barely tell the difference.
He's a terrible actor who's constantly messing up his lines.
Bye. Good gravy. A small bunch of objects are flying of their own accord in E-Wing. And apparently more objects are heading this way. Goodbye.
Constantly seems to have scenes that are trimmed to cover his mistakes, but ends up looking more obvious.
I have more things to say.
Go on. Sorry for the interruption.
Don't mention it. She's saying there's something supernatural going on.
And it's also hinted he may be behind the disappearance of co-star Madeline Wool.
I reckon she's probably somewhere in the Eastern Bloc. That's my hunch.
Do you think she's still alive then?
No, I think she's probably just buried in the Eastern Bloc. If she got a burial.
Joined Barnum also is Matt Berry as thespian Todd Rivers, who plays Dr. Lucen Sanchez. And Todd actually looks like he could have been a movie star or TV star back in the day. Rivers is also an alcoholic whose ego outweighs his acting talent. He also has the misfortune of having to loop his lines for ADR, and the fact he seems to overpronounce words in such a weird delivery makes it more fucking hilarious.
You and he were buddies, weren't you?
Once.
Listen, when I first joined this hospital, I was strictly solo. You were the first real buddy I ever had. But if you and he wish to be best buddies again, I won't stand in your way.
Alice Law is also hilarious as Madeline Wall, who has the misfortune of being the main female character, Liz Ash, in the show. Who not only is she the newly appointed doctor, but also has psychic powers.
My hand!
And is the target of Sanchez's affections.
Hey, this cat's got claws.
Everything's a joke to you, isn't it?
Not everything, Liz.
I'm going for a shower.
I'll be with you in 2 secs. You can scrub my legs.
Men.
And even though we never actually see Miss Wool in the interviews, it's obvious there was a lot of animosity towards her.
Listen, sweetheart, I've not got time to shoot the shit. So why don't you and your new boyfriend carry some chicken out to my office when it comes, if it ever comes?
Look, at least you're not going with Liz.
But then again, she was like a candle in the wind. Unreliable.
And having to constantly deliver lines that sound
I know you're lying to me, protecting me, but I'm a big girl now. In a year's time, I'll be a woman.
Hey, are you alright?
No, I mean, yes, I deserve that.
And credit to Law, without us even knowing who Wool is as a person, we're given the chance to come to our own conclusions about her. And the mysterious disappearance of Miss Wool adds an even more disturbing detail into what was going on behind the scenes. But it's the deluded mind of the title character that really forms the basis of the comedy. Matthew Holness is hilariously pretentious as the underskilled author, unaware of the lack of talent he believes to have, and every time it cuts to the show, you can sense every bit of narcissism being projected in the shoddy dialogue.
Gotta go.
They work you too hard here. They should pay you a hero's wage.
You're a good kid.
And you're a great doctor.
Larry was a colleague of mine when I first started here at Darkplace. God, he was brainy. And brave. Saved my life once. I saved his life twice, so I was one up.
This is the guy who casts himself as the hero, because of course he has to. And man, it just makes the show so much better. His dialogue is atrocious, he spells out exposition, and never trusts his audience to come to their own conclusions.
I went for a drive to clear my head, which is why I'm now in the car.
Every line he's written for the Liz Ash character just gains more and more insight into any relationship he's had with women.
Please.
All right. I'll pay you, though. It'll make it bona fide, and you could probably use the extra pocket money for clothes and makeup. They can get upset at the slightest thing, whether it be forgetting to acknowledge them in front of one's friends, or insisting on splitting a restaurant bill in proportion to the cost of food that was actually ordered by each party, even though that's only fair. I'd have to try and change. Tomorrow I'd tell her she'd lost weight, or that her hair looked nice, whichever seemed more plausible.
And every time he's interviewed, it's cringe, scary, and hilarious all at the same time.
The pube on the pipe metaphor came from a real-life incident, which I observed in the Gents at Dean's.
God bless you, Matthew Holness. Also check out his audiobooks read by him, as his Garth Marenghi persona. But what also makes this show great is it could have been just another comedy taking the piss out of cheesy low-budget horror shows from the 80s. But making it a show within a show, with the real characters being interviewed, only added more layers to the madness. Without anything being spelt out, you know every jobbing cast member, extra or crew member who had to work on this disaster of a show has gone through some kind of hell at the hands of both Marenghi and Lerner. The music score composed is based on melodies whistled by Garth Marenghi. No, seriously, it's even stated in the credits. He shoots scenes with too much headspace, everything that can go wrong during production went wrong, and the fact that Marenghi was too incompetent to hide his incompetent filmmaking just makes it more hilarious. There's even one episode where they had to resort to slow motion in order to pad out the runtime because it was so underwritten. In fact, every scene in the fake show highlights just how incompetent and inexperienced these characters were in this field. Every time the real characters interact as the fake characters, it's awkward. There's no chemistry between the show actors. You can tell some of them are having to put up with each other.
Yes, I'd prefer a beer. Dear me. Oh dear.
And yet somehow it adds a real dynamic to the real cast, who do seem to have chemistry portraying actors with no chemistry. Seriously, how the fuck did they achieve that? How can anyone deliberately make a fake, incompetently made show, yet still come across competently made? Only a mad genius could do that. But that's why it's so good. That's why it never fails to make me piss myself laughing every time. And it's also the reason why I'm glad more people are discovering this 20 years since this aired. The show isn't just about spoofing cheesy 80s shows, it's about the dark side of the entertainment business and what happens when people with enough money but not enough common sense or talent are the ones in creative control. So overall, it's a sharp, smartly funny, smartly executed incompetent satire with enough laughs to brighten up those dark places. So, that was week 2 of our Halloween season. Join me next week to discover more horrors I have in store. Horrors worse than being trapped in a room with this guy.